Hello everyone, welcome once again to Arrow Discussions. I'm Captain Logan.
I'm Eric.
Eric, it's time for more Arrow, and we only have a couple episodes left this season. Are you a little sad to see the season almost over?
I'm more anxious to see if this season pulls everything together by the end of it.
Oh yeah, me too. But I am finding myself going, oh man, here pretty soon there's going to be a few months where we're not going to be doing Arrow Discussions.
Yeah, but we can finally go back to Netflix Roulette, which we never stopped talking about how much we enjoyed that.
No, it was really fun. By the way, I heard, and I don't know what it is yet. I haven't actually looked at this. There is apparently an app that you can get for like iPhone and stuff called Netflix Roulette.
Can we sue them?
And yeah, somebody left a comment on a video recently and was like, they totally owe you guys money.
I'll take that money.
Yeah, well, you came up with the name, so they owe you, Eric. Well, anyway, before we jump over to today's episode, Seeing Red, let's discuss some comments and questions from last week from the audience, from the Man Under the Hood. And the first one comes from Shane Murphy, who says, I was thinking about Slade's eye not regenerating from a while ago, and I thought it might be interesting if it was a sort of psychological restriction because he can't get over his defeat at Oliver's hands. That's kind of interesting.
I don't know if science works that way.
I don't think it does either, but this
it could be an explanation, but like that sounds like some Spider-Man 2 stuff.
I was gonna say it's very Spider-Man 2, isn't it? But you know, the way Mirakuru seems to be a very strange sort of drug, Eric. There's a lot of psychology built into it as it is, so
I'm surprised we've gone this long and they haven't done the Lazarus thing that we've been predicting since like episode 1 of this season.
Frankly, League of Assassins kind of just dropped for a while.
Yeah, we thought they were going to be a big... I mean, thank God they weren't because we already have so much going on, but...
Yeah, I feel like maybe there was like a bet that happened in the writing room that was like, how many major comic book names can we turn into episode titles this season? What can we get away with? We got League of Assassins, we got Birds of Prey, we got Deathstroke, we got Suicide Squad.
We got what's that other one?
Was there another one?
What's that organization called that they work for?
Argus, but I don't think they got an episode title.
Oh no, I guess not.
Did they? Okay, EC Cons. Eric, if you want Laurel to die, then I recommend you watch the remake of When a Stranger Calls, the remake of Nightmare on Elm Street, and Taken.
I was gonna say Nightmare on Elm Street. She's the fake out at the beginning of the remake of Nightmare on Elm Street.
I had no idea she was in those movies.
I didn't know she was in Taken. Is she the daughter in Taken? I've never seen Taken.
I don't think she's the daughter, is she?
Well, I don't know. I haven't seen it.
Yeah, I haven't seen it either. I've still never watched that. No. I guess I should, because I like Liam Neeson, and I've been told it's really good. But
yeah, I've been told it's good too. I think it's the beginning of Liam Neeson's. By the way, guys, I'm an action movie star now. I waited till my 50s to become an action movie star, but I'm doing it.
It seems to be working for a few people. It's working for Kevin Costner.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess it was a time that he was sort of an action movie star, but like
there was a number of movies in a row where he tried his hand at it. But like, I mean, Liam Neeson is like Schindler's List, Oscar Award winner. And like, I know he did like Star Wars and Batman, but like those weren't like he's the action movie main character type.
No, it wasn't. No, it wasn't Die Hard or anything.
Yeah, whereas I get the impression that that's what he's doing now.
No, that is what he's doing now.
He just put out that movie Non-Stop, which looks like Taken 3.
It does, but I saw it and it was kind of okay.
Oh well.
Yeah, I enjoy it. I mean,
if it's the knockoff, then Taken must be like pretty good.
I Am Super Batman 1993 said that we forgot that Danielle Panabaker, the actress who's playing the girl that becomes Killer Frost, was also in Sky High, and I missed that. I forgot about that.
Who is she in Sky High?
The character Layla. And it's been so long since I've seen that movie that I don't really. I think maybe the.
I'm assuming it's either the love interest or the evil one.
No, I think it was the love interest,
Okay.
given how young she is. But yeah, it's just been a while.
I haven't seen that since even longer than you, so.
Don't get me wrong, I love that movie, but I've only seen it for the rewind that I did a few
Yeah,
years ago.
I don't own it. Like I like that movie, but every time I see it at like Walmart, I'm like, do I love it enough to buy it?
I don't know. It was one of those things where I was so surprised by it
No,
that
it's really good. It's way smarter than it has any right to be.
the Crimson Pool. So are the security guards the Arrow team knocked out and left outside the pre-exploded building dead? Because that was a huge explosion. Third degree burns anyone or death?
No, they got him to a safe distance before yeah.
They opened up a manhole cover and they shoved them in the sewer.
Yeah.
Divot 22. Is it ever established what Queen Industries does? We know they had a hand in the earthquake machine construction. That's a good question. Do we ever get a definitive this is what they primarily manufacture?
Do we know what Wayne Industries primarily manufactures?
No, that's a really good point.
Or post making weapons, what Stark Industries makes?
Well, they seem to at least do a lot of industrial stuff.
Yeah. But like I feel like that's a thing with most like superhero companies. Like I don't know what most of them.
We know that in this is something we have to give Smallville because Luthor Corp there, we know they do a lot of fertilizer stuff.
Yeah, and they really like to invade on like small towns, but take like 6 years to really get their foothold in there.
Joseph Podian. Hey, Cap, I'm starting to suspect the writers of this show watch this channel. They keep answering things you bring up in your videos. Example, they bring up Big Belly Burger and how it's making Felicity fat, something you had an issue about a few weeks back because you said they keep eating it, but no one ever got fat.
I don't even remember bringing that up.
I did. I think last episode I brought that up because it really makes me laugh. Because I'm just like, Diggle cannot look like he looks if he's constantly eating those hamburgers. And then this episode, he must have commented after this particular episode aired. Because this episode, Felicity's like, they're making me fat. I can't eat that anymore. Let's get sushi.
These big belly burgers are giving me a big belly.
I'm telling you, you can't have the kinds of lives they lead and eat like
Well,
that.
it's
There's
like
no
season
way.
7 of Buffy, where there's all the potential slayers, all these petite, skinny girls, and they're all eating just junk food.
Junk food constantly, but at least they might have like super metabolisms. Well, I guess they're only potentials though, so they just have normal people bodies. Um,
Well, that brings up a question. Like, okay, if you have a normal people body and you're potential, and you get really fat, and then you become a slayer, does it immediately like change your body?
yeah, wouldn't it be really interesting to see like what a like 350 pound Slayer would be like? Anyway, I don't know why we're talking about this. Bob Carlin. Isabel might have taken the power vested for her by Oliver. Oh, he's answering our question about the stocks and how in the
Okay.
world. Let's pay attention to this because it might go way over our heads. Let's see what he says. Isabel might have taken the power vested for her by Oliver for the board of directors meeting to issue an estate freeze on his stock options, seeing as he pretty much gave her temporary power of attorney, but that might have been long enough for her to lock his assets out, seeing as it wasn't just stock that was cut out. So while Ollie might own it, it's in Isabel's hands. That makes sense in my tiny, I don't know that much about stocks brain.
Yeah. I don't know if that's what they said, but I'm gonna pretend that that's what they said because that makes sense.
Well, they didn't really say anything. Is the thing. That's the part is that you kind of have to guess because she just says your stocks are worthless now. If memory serves, I don't think they really even begin to go into it.
Okay, well that sounds reasonable.
The CGC 10, I think a lot of the extraneous subplots could have been done in future seasons. And I'm assuming he wrote this before today's episode. Roy's questioning of Oliver could have waited until Slade had been defeated since it mostly has little to do with Slade himself. Thea is Merlin's daughter, and Merlin returning from the dead could have been far better if it served as the major overarching plot for season 3. Right now, it seems to only be there because it's some interesting family drama within all the comic book stuff. When we all go back to watch this season at the end, it could easily turn into a case of cluttered plot lines and too many characters. I really want to reserve judgment on all that till I get to the end of it.
Yeah, we're close, and there's some stuff coming up. Coming, it's in this episode where certain things need to happen for this to happen. So
Precisely. And then the whole thing about saving some of the Roy stuff, I feel like that all kind of led up to this place where Roy is right now. So I'm not sure. I'm not sure we really could have done that, but I wouldn't have been able
although
to say
at
that.
the same time, I do think like we needed all of this stuff with Thea and her mom to get to this point. I'm
Of
sure,
course, yeah.
but at the same time, they still brought in Malcolm and then just drop that. Like it wasn't done perfectly. Like I understand certain things had to happen, but the Malcolm thing is kind of I like when was the last time we saw him?
Right now, it feels a lot like all that could have been done without Malcolm even being alive anymore.
I'm sure
So
well, we
far.
assume that Malcolm was part of the Slade thing. I'm assuming he doesn't really come back at least until next season.
Yeah, I mean, I think that was all maybe just a placeholder to do a couple things. A, just to tell us he was still around, and to kind of force the show to deal with Thea being his daughter, but also because didn't he? It's been so long now. Didn't he kind of strong arm Moira into telling her about it,
Well,
or tried to? He tried.
he wanted to take her. He
Yeah.
and then she called the League of Shadows on him. I'm assuming
No, that's what it was.
I'm
Yeah, and
assuming
somehow
that part of
she has
him.
a direct line to the League of Assassins. I want to know how in the world. I still want to know how in the world she knows about the League of Assassins. But anyway,
We'll never know now.
I guess we won't. Although I imagine they'll do that kind of thing where there's a whole lot of secrets about her that we'll discover post mortem.
I feel like there was still like a big secret. I don't remember what it was, but I feel like there was some point where she's like, "I still have this one big secret," and then we never got back to that. No.
Well, I mean, they they did that thing earlier in the season where it was like there's some things that can't be spoken about. But I got the sense, especially from this episode, that the only thing she really had left to tell Oliver about was that Malcolm is still alive. Like when the car gets hit, conveniently just before it gets slammed, she says Malcolm, and then I'm assuming that it was just he's still alive.
Well, she says Malcolm Merlin is, and so yeah, I assume it was that he's still alive. But I think maybe bringing Malcolm in there was as simple as, well, if we wait to bring him back later, it'll seem more contrived than if we just establish right here that he's still alive. I don't know. But
Yeah, because we have to kind of juggle where people are. Because if we just randomly bring them into the next season, it's season 3, and here's Mel. Well, what's he been doing this whole time? So it's easy to look at that and be like, well, why now? Why now don't you have enough characters? But then you have to think, okay, if these people all exist, they have to have reasons to wait around and stuff. So it's potentially sophisticated that they brought him in, and then we haven't seen him in a while because we don't know what he's been doing in the background.
but it does seem like there are a couple of things that are not servicing this season's story, such as
I
Malcolm.
No, I certainly agree with that. But I mean, at least, we haven't constantly gone back to him where it's just like a placeholder. Hey, don't forget, kids, he's still in the show.
And blood's still up in the air. We really have to wait and see for the last couple episodes how well they do tie everything together or don't tie everything together.
TM Smythe, tell me what you think about this. He says maybe this was mentioned in the episode, but why was Sarah in the hospital? This is the first time I can remember that anyone in Team Arrow goes to the hospital, and it seems entirely for the sake of showing Laurel that Sarah is Black Canary. We even had that line from Felicity where she said they never go to the hospital for their injuries in the Clock King episode. It just seemed a little convenient.
Did she get hurt in her civilian? No, because they had to lie about how she got it. I don't
Yeah,
know.
she and Oliver both had. I didn't even think of that. She and Oliver both had to lie about it, and they had that silly motorcycle thing. Which, by the way, I didn't like that Oliver couldn't come up with something else this episode.
Yeah.
He's gotta use motorcycle again. Just and again, that seemed a little convenient, didn't it? Just to have kind of an easy setup for her to reveal that she knows that he's Arrow. I guess we'll get to all that.
Yeah.
Darth Sandwich, this is the last one. I am pretty certain that the writers hate Lance. First they take away his job, then they shoot him, then they send him to prison, and then they beat him up. Next episode, Lance gets out of jail and gets hit by a bus. I'm calling it now.
Well, I mean, it's kind of a rule with writing. The characters you really love are the ones you put through the most crap.
That's a great point.
So,
And we love Lance.
yeah, it's
And
our
like
fault.
the more crap he has to take, the more we like him. That's a really no, that's an excellent point. That's fiction writing 101 stuff. Okay, let's go on to today's episode,
Wait,
Seeing
wait,
Red.
wait. I actually have something. I have a question I want to ask the audience. That
Okay,
I
it's time now for Eric's classic asking the audience questions. Go ahead, Eric.
well, this isn't like a silly thing. This is something while I was at work today was running through my head, and I was thinking about. So we have a lot. I mean, we've joked about this before. This show is littered with stuff from the Marv Wolfman, George Perez, Teen Titans stuff. I'm kind of interested to know because I'm not a Teen Titans guy, and neither are you.
Right.
I'm wondering, are there Teen Titans fans that are annoyed by this? Like, if you were going to use all these Teen Titans villains, why wouldn't you just do a Teen Titans show? Um, I don't know. It was just something I was thinking about. I'd be
Yeah,
interested to know if
or is it exciting for those people because they know that Teen Titans probably wouldn't get a live action show, so this is the next best thing.
I don't know. Like, I was thinking, like, if I was a Teen Titans fan, maybe I'd be annoyed that like two of the Titans' biggest villains, you're like, oh, you're just going to give them the Green Arrow. Where I feel like it would be like watching I don't know, like in a world where Batman's not as popular as he is, they make like the Atom show, and like his main two villains are like Two-Face and the Joker.
Yeah, but at the same time, it's kind of neat to do a character like Green Arrow because he doesn't really have his own big rogues gallery.
Yeah, oh, I'm not saying I dislike it. I was just curious if people that are big
Sure.
Titans fans are bothered by it.
I'm just saying that's a point I hadn't really thought of before. That like Green Arrow is a great pick for something like this because you can do a lot of villains that
From all
might
over.
not show up anywhere else because he doesn't really have a massive rogues gallery.
I was thinking about. I'm hoping we get some characters like Toyman.
Me too. I mean, they've already since they borrowed some Batman, and since we don't have a live action Superman show on, this would be a really good chance to do some Superman villains, maybe a little better than they did in Smallville. I'm not saying that Smallville did all the villains bad. I actually like their Toyman quite a bit, but I'm just saying that like I think they could do some of those. They probably have access.
I can't wait till we get Arrow's version of Mixie-Ploxy-Oxy.
Yeah, that's not going to happen.
Oh well.
And for those of you that don't know what he's talking about, that's Mixoplick, but he likes to say it like that.
Because everyone pronounces it differently, so I've come up with my own pronunciation.
I think 75% of people call it Mixoplick.
Um, and then there's Mixel Spitlick, which is the animated series version.
Oh, you're right.
Um,
Well, when you say everybody though, I guess you're just meaning TV shows, right? Because then, like, do you remember what do you remember what they called it in Lois and Clark?
no, what do they call him, Lois and Clark?
In Lois and Clark, it was Mix Yes Piddlyik.
Yeah, and there's another one I know that's something similar to that. Yeah, that they all have different pronunciations, and people pronounce them all differently. Um, Probably just from what they're most familiar with. So I've just taken to giving him giving him my own pronunciation because it's just a bunch of random letters. There is no correct pronunciation.
Well, now let's move on with Arrow and everything else we can think of discussions. And we're going to talk about Seeing Red. This episode is, or rather, our podcast today is going up the day of the next episode's release. So, sorry about that. I was on vacation. So, anyway,
I saw this
hopefully,
episode and I did not want to paint it black.
hopefully, so hopefully you get to listen to this before you've seen the next episode. Let's go ahead and get rolling on it. General overview stuff. I guess we should start with the really big thing. Eric, I know you and I talked about this a little bit beforehand. Boy, did we never ever ever call that Moira Queen was going to get killed.
Okay, so there's something I didn't tell you that adds another layer onto this. So
Okay,
once
go ahead.
again,
It's like pie.
once again, I went to CBR, and one of their headlines is something something unexpected arrow death. At least this was the day after it aired, as opposed to sometimes where it's been the day it was going to air.
Oh, I hate that.
So I watched the entire episode knowing someone was going to die. And because they said unexpected, I was jumping at shadows the entire episode. Like in the opening scene,
Shadows.
in the opening scene when Felicity is there and there's Diggle leaves, before she turns and sees that Roy's body isn't there, I was like, oh, she's dead. This is it. He's gonna kill her. I spent the entire episode like that, and like literally there was a point where like behind someone there was like a kind of orangish light, and I was like, is that him? Is that his mask? He's coming.
I think next year you need to go, or next Arrow season at least, you need to go like on media blackout
Well,
for
the
the
thing
entire
is,
season.
it's
Because every no, hang on. It seems like every episode when something happens like this that you didn't want spoiled, you know something about it going in. Like every time you're like, well, I would have liked this better if it weren't for the fact that
well,
I
no,
knew
no,
it.
this improved the episode for me because I spent the entire episode being like, who's gonna die? When is it? And then what was great was when we got to the end, you knew one of them was gonna die, and there was still no way to know which one. Um,
Yeah, although once they put that situation together, and if you're paying attention to the kind of relationship study between Moira and Oliver, immediately you're like, well, she's right. There is only one way this can end.
well, once she
Uh,
starts talking, I mean, like when that scene initially starts, and it's just you're like, oh man, he's got that same situation. Although it's
yeah,
it's kind of like Spider-Man 400. I think it's 400. The original death of Aunt May. It's very similar. It's like, oh, I knew you're Spider-Man the whole time, and then she dies.
yeah. Well, anyway, yeah, we should talk about all of that. I don't know, man. As soon as that situation even arose, I was like, oh no, Moira's not gonna make it. Because one thing that I really liked about this episode is there's a lot of good foreshadowing.
You know what my favorite foreshadowing in this entire episode is, and it's actually
Yeah.
foreshadowing for the entire show.
Hmm.
In the flashback, uh, when Moira has that line to Oliver where she says, "We all make mistakes. I would hope that you would forgive me if I ever make any."
Right.
And she just has this look of like she's right now knowing that one day he's going to find out that she's doing things that are not right. And there was just, oh, I love that.
Can I just say that that actress and I think overall we had our reservations first season just because we didn't know where things were going with her. But I mean, like overall, I think we've always liked her. Boy, did she tear it up in this episode.
And I
And
don't know what they did to her, but in the flashbacks, she
she
lost
looked
like
really
20
young.
years, and I don't
I
know
know,
why.
it was amazing. That wig was fantastic.
Well, just her face too. She had much less wrinkles, and I don't know how they did it. It looks a lot better than X-Men 3, which had a much bigger budget.
Well, and I had that all over the episode. I thought her death looked fantastic.
Oh yeah. Well, and I don't know.
And I just wanted to say that I was just really like they did a good job of making me incredibly sad about her death, partly because she had such a good performance this episode. I am really bummed to lose her.
Well, and I thought Thea was fantastic. I mean, she's just yelling, but like
Yeah,
I've seen that scene done poorly before.
and
Or
you really bought it there.
yeah,
Yeah.
she was really good at just conveying how much terror she was in. Um, Also, I think she has a thing where she says, or it's Moira. Somebody says something about like Mr. Wilson or something like that, and I thought it was
Yeah,
funny.
she calls him that.
Yeah, I thought it was funny. Just in the situation, I was like, that's more professional than you need to be.
But that's what I like about Moira is that she never changes her demeanor no matter the situation. Like she always uses a very consistent kind of vocabulary. A couple episodes ago I called her sort of the female Lionel Luthor, and he had that too.
He lasted longer than her.
No, and I just mean in the way that they talk and they carry themselves.
Um, One thing I will say on first watching, I didn't care for the turn away and then turn back and stab her. I thought that was
Yeah,
kind of
I had
cliche.
exactly the same. And then the second time I liked it.
Well, the second time I had my wife come in, who's she's kind of scatteredly watched season two. She's going to watch it all when it hits Netflix. But like I was like, just come watch this part. And she reacted to it completely differently, where she thought he was that the show was gonna like wimp out and he was just gonna leave. And then he turned and killed her. So and it really worked for her, so that brought me around on it a little bit. Because I
Well,
thought it was cliche.
can I tell you what I liked about it? When he's got a gun to her, and then she insists that he kill her over Thea, and in order to save both of her children. I think it's important, by the way, that Oliver, of course, offers himself up, and so she's saving both of her children, not
Right.
just Thea. They needed to play it that way because this is a mother-son story through and through, so that had to happen. I really liked that they found a way to do that in a pretty organic fashion. But anyway, he commends her on her courage and puts the gun away and pulls a sword out, and that is traditionally a more honorable way to go.
Well, not the way he did it, but yeah.
Well, what do you mean?
Well, I mean, usually it's decapitation is I mean, at least Japanese culture, it's the
Okay, fair enough, but I'm just saying that it was by sword instead of gun. I don't know. I got the sense that like in his twisted mind somehow he was giving her a better death.
that might be. I didn't really even think of that.
That was the thing I didn't think of it till the second time. That's what I thought kind of worked about it. But you're right. Otherwise, it's just sort of this dramatic, kind of stringing us along, Willy Woney. Um,
Also, where was that
you know,
sword?
it's like the Joker gun from '89.
Well, Highlander used to do this. Like literally, people would just like reach behind their head and then they'd pull a sword out. But yeah, that jacket wasn't long enough to conceal a sword.
Let me ask you this, because I was of two minds about this, and again, we've got to see where the rest of the season is going to go. So I don't even think this is necessarily a problem. But I found myself surprised that Slade, in putting Oliver in the sadistic choice situation, to parallel the Shadow situation, that he was willing to let Oliver off the hook and not have to make the choice.
Yeah, I
And
guess.
then you got the sense, the way Moyer was talking about it, that was the way he intended it to go down all along. That like he gave Oliver that choice because there was no choice. Um, Either she was going to sacrifice herself, or Oliver was not going to allow his 19-year-old sister to die over his mother. So I guess what I'm saying, and I should maybe save this for predictions, but I'm wondering if this was a preamble for the real sadistic choice, where he's going to put Oliver in the same situation again, and it's going to be impossible. I think it's very likely that we get a situation where he has to pick between Laurel and Sarah.
I would have said that, but Sarah's gone. I get the feeling Sarah's gone for the rest of the season.
Boy, I just don't want to assume that yet. When she says she's going to see an old friend, I think next episode we go back to Sarah and we see who she's visiting.
I assumed she was going back to the League of Assassins.
But she calls out a singular character. That's why I wondered about it. When she says "an old friend," it made me think it's not just the League. Like it might be somebody at the League, but I mean, like that really felt like setting up for something to me.
Maybe you're
I
right.
hope so. And that might also be wishful thinking because I don't want her out of the show. She's my favorite character. Don't
Well,
do.
are we done with the ending? Because I want to talk about Sarah and that whole.
No, no, absolutely. Yeah, let's jump anywhere you like. Go ahead.
I really didn't like the whole Sarah thing. It felt like what they've been doing for the past couple episodes, where they make sure to go out of their way and mention this thing once in an episode, and then like 2 episodes later, like, hey, you remember when we mentioned that thing? Well, we're playing off of that. It's happened a couple of times now, and we both felt like she was kind of out of character in the episode with Huntress, and then here like this like sadistic's the wrong word, but like I must kill them. She says like it's what I am. It's I wanted to kill him because I wanted to kill him. We haven't seen that throughout the rest
No,
of the
I
season.
agree with you, and I feel like I feel like they could have played her that way this whole season because, after all, she is more hardened than Oliver now. She's not been through the same stuff, and they have done a good job of showing the differences between them. I've mentioned this before. One of my favorite island things this season was the exchange they had where Sarah said she wanted to make sure that her family remembered her the way she was before the island, and Oliver uh, didn't want to die because because he knew he was better than he was before the island, and that was a huge distinction between them, and that never really changes. And so even though Oliver is kind of a killer after he gets off the island, he's developed. He's had a progression to where he's not that anymore. So like all of that works, but you're right. Um, with this episode, I kind of bought, and not because she's a killer, I kind of bought that she thought, look, we have to put him down because it's the same thing as Slade, and you were wrong about that before. What I was
Except, okay.
what I no, I'm sorry. What I wasn't sure about was that she took it so hard at the end when Oliver managed to sort of save him, because the thing about it is it's not over yet. He might still be basically a brainless automaton. Like, what has changed really? Except besides the fact that you managed to sedate him and get him back to the Arrow Cave. Couldn't the whole cycle start over again, and then Roy proves Sarah right that he's not really himself?
Yeah, you think if anything she'd want to stick around and make sure it
Yeah,
doesn't happen again. But here's the thing. She says you made the wrong choice with Slade. He did kill Slade. Or he thought he did. That's the choice he made. He said that before. That he had a choice between
right,
curing him and killing him, and his choice was to kill him. And now
right.
she says it's the same choice as you had with Slade, and she's condemning him for making the other choice.
Well, I think what she's referring to is because she says that they had this conversation on Lian on the island, and I think what she's talking about is the conversation they have before they go and board the freighter.
Oh, okay. I assumed it was alluding to a conversation that we hadn't yet seen before his
Yeah,
final confrontation on the island.
I thought what she was talking about was if you had bought what I was selling and didn't trust Slade when
None of this would have happened.
none of this would have ever happened. So yeah, he finally chooses to kill him later, but it's his fault that it all happened in the first place. And then here he's making the same kind of choice. He's wanting to save his friend, but his friend's already too far gone. But the thing is, I don't think they should be treating this like she thinks the answer is always killing people. That seems too simplistic. It seems to me like what she's saying is, once you've got Mirakuru in your system, you're done. There's no hope.
Well, the thing is, I didn't have a problem with her this episode until the end, where she
Yeah,
reacted the way she did. I thought she was being
exactly.
reasonable.
I thought she was being reasonable too, and so what bothers me is you get to the end, and now she is going with Oliver and saying, "Oh, you know what? You were right. I was unreasonable. You've proven to me that he can be saved." No, you haven't.
Well, and just her like, I just wanted to kill him. I was like, no, you made completely valid points on why he needs to be put down.
Yeah, and you also said we can't be sure he's a person. I mean, Oliver has that I thought really good speech to Roy when he's like, you're a person with a soul, and she's not convinced of that, and for really good reasons. Oliver is trying to save, I think, himself kind of as much as he is Roy, because he sees this all as his fault. And so it's somewhat of a selfish thing. It's as much about him as it is about saving Roy, because he blames himself in the first place. So he's got these personal motivations that are blinding him. Sarah's not blinded by all that. So yeah, she turns into a different character at the end, to a degree.
Yeah, and it feels like I feel like now they did that Huntress episode just so they could say this didn't come out of nowhere.
Yeah,
Just like they had that thing where like, Thea was like, "Well, you don't lie to me." You're like, "Oh, that's not going to come back up immediately."
And it's kind of the same thing even
with Roy.
as the random sudden, you know what, I've let you date my sister this whole season, but actually now you can't do that anymore because we've got to set up a subplot.
Yep.
Yeah. So I don't know. I'm 100% with you, Eric. That was my biggest complaint about the episode. About everything else I liked though.
I immediately, once this episode started going, I was like, oh, we're back on track. This is a really, like, even before we got to the end with everything, I thought this episode was really strong. And I think that this episode, because I didn't like the whole thing with Slade seeing Shadow. This episode made me okay with it because of how, because they were consistent in using that Roy sees Thea, and I thought that scene was played fantastically.
It was really creepy.
Especially that it starts where you don't realize it's a thing.
I know. Well, tell me if you had this experience. At first, I was like, "This is really strange editing. Like, why have we gone from she's looking for him to suddenly she's found him already with this huge time jump, and then oh wait, no, it's in his head." Like, it was disorienting in a really cool way.
Oh, see, I didn't really pick up on that, but I just, because she starts and she sounds kind of reasonable, right down to, like, when you broke up with me, it was a call for help. I should have known. And she's like, but I need to be punished. And you're like, oh, um,
Well, and one thing I like about it, and I don't know if this is on purpose, this might be a backhanded slam on accident. But one thing I kind of liked about it too was that his like this Mirakuru stuff just makes you psychotic, right? Like his reasoning in his brain with this hallucination of Thea saying she needs to be punished makes no sense at all.
oh, no, 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 it doesn't make
And
sense.
but that makes the whole that helps to make the whole thing with Slade and what he wants to do against Oliver kind of feel even a little bit less weird, because we used to kind of complain about that, and now that we know just how psychotic they are,
Yeah.
like so they've got this weird twisted logic in their own heads. I mean, I still don't think that it's as interesting as if Slade had a real beef with him,
Right.
if he actually was himself.
Although
um
Oliver brings that up in this episode. He says she wasn't yours, and he goes, no, she was yours. And you were supposed to protect her, and you didn't.
yeah, I love that they finally brought that. I don't get why he didn't say that on the island.
Yeah.
I still don't get that, but I like that he finally said it here. I don't know. He's gotten a little smarter, really, in the last few years. Well, what else do you want to talk about? The flashbacks. Did you like the way that parallel? Did you buy the situation?
I did. I really liked it. Um,
I did too. I thought it was a really good demonstration of Moira's commitment to her kids, and that she's willing to manipulate them to protect them. I think getting that stuff makes her and the undertaking and stuff make even more sense than it
well,
ever
one
did
of the
before.
things I loved about it was that they played it like 100% completely straight. Like they almost played it like, because it's kind of from her perspective.
Yeah,
They didn't say like this is the right thing to do, but it doesn't come off nearly as negative as you would assume that somebody would play that scene.
that's an excellent point. Yeah.
And I was really impressed with that, right down to at the end where it ends with them talking and they're both so happy, and then it cuts to her being dead. And I,
Oh man. Yeah.
yeah, no, I really like that stuff. Also, I'm putting a post-it note on the board for years down the line. That kid's Connor, if this show runs long enough,
Oh wow.
that kid's coming back and he's going to be Connor.
That's fascinating. Um, because he would be. I mean, right now he's only what, 6?
Yeah, 6 or 7-ish. So
I
if
mean, you
this
get the sense
show
that
goes to
that couldn't
like,
have been more than a year before he was on the island, maybe even a lot less than that. So he's 5 or 6,
yeah, so if this show goes, gets to like a season,
six or
yeah,
seven.
6 or 7, he could come back. They could fudge it a little bit and make him come back as like 15 in season 7. But
We could get, or he could even be like 10 or 11, and they could do sort of a Tim Drake thing with him.
yeah, but
That would be
yeah, I think that's a
yeah.
setup for if they want to do something with Connor way down the line.
This is another one of those psychology questions because everybody's different and handles things differently. But I really questioned that Oliver went through the ordeal he went through in getting that girl pregnant and thinking that she lost the baby and being thoughtful enough that it actually bothered him. And then he does what he does with Sarah on the boat.
Um,
What do you think? I'm just
See, because I don't think the lesson he learned was cheating. I think it was protection. So as long as he was protected with Sarah, I don't think he would have thought twice about it. Because it wasn't that it wasn't even that he was, because when he finds out, uh, he says, what would I have done if I was going to be a father? It's not what would I have done, with a kid that's not with Laurel.
No, I know that, but the way he plays the scene, I get the sense that he's trying to find the silver lining in it, he's actually like legitimately upset that the baby is not going to be born.
Well, I mean, that's, an awful thing, but I didn't feel
Yeah.
like the thing that he was reacting to was the cheating. It was,
No, but I guess I'm not even talking about the cheating thing so much as it seems like just in general, somebody that reacts that way, a situation like that might make them more mature in general. Like
yeah,
I'm
maybe
saying
so.
that all I'm saying is you'd think it might mellow him a little bit, where
Yeah.
where he wouldn't be as much of a party kid.
Although I did think it was weird that they said, because he says he was out with Tommy, and then she says you weren't out with Tommy.
Yeah,
If he was out like partying with this girl, I feel like Tommy would have been there.
yeah, likely.
Yeah, like it doesn't seem like he went on a date with this girl, although he might have because he goes out of his way to be like, no, she's a good person.
Yeah, I mean, you get the sense that it wasn't just a one night stand thing. I mean, it probably sort of was, but like he seems to know her, and I don't know. I can't really articulate why I like this, but there was something about not getting her name that I liked.
Yeah.
They went out of their way to make her. I mean, not generic, and I thought the actress was quite good, but I mean, like they went out of their way to like make her sort of a non-entity because she was sort of a prop for
It
this.
was about the father, or not the father, the son and mother relationship.
Right.
Uh,
So it's just something about that I really like.
Although I paid really close attention the second time to hear if they said like a last name as Hawk.
Yeah, you never get it.
Nope.
Okay, what else do we need to talk about that we haven't covered?
I'm looking. I don't think I have any more notes.
I'm looking at some notes here. Oh, I really like that Oliver gets hugely injured in this.
The when I first watched it, the way Oliver reacts, I was like, oh no, they did not just hurt his back. I was like, people are already saying there's too much rises, and then it was just as like, I was like, oh thank God. I love
I
that
was
scene where he just pumps himself full of all the medicine.
Oh yeah, and then Felicity's reaction is priceless. No, I was ready when he went to the doctor.
Oh,
I
for
was
the
ready.
for the magic leg brace.
No, I was just ready for the doctor to say, Oliver Queen, you have no cartilage in your knee.
How is that possible?
I thought it was. I mean, despite our reservations about the ending with Sarah, I thought it was kind of neat that we had this demonstration or this example rather of Oliver's overall heroism this season, with the Doctor wanting to help him because of the good he's done for the city. I thought that was a really good time to have somebody without even having to be coerced say, no, I want to help you because of all the good you've done.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I really did not expect to see an episode where Oliver limped the whole way through. I mean, it made Roy a real threat.
Well, and I think we can both say I don't think we thought somebody was going to die this episode. I mean, outside of this the kind of spoilers I was given.
Oh, I've gone on record, I think, more than once to say, "Oh no, Eric, you're crazy. They won't kill anybody until the last episode." No, I was wrong. The show is smarter than that. They did that last season. They're trying to throw us for some curves and be unpredictable. I really appreciated
Oh,
that.
well, you know what? What we didn't bring up that I guess we should is, uh,
Sure, I've got a couple other notes too. Go ahead.
that Slade says there's one other person that has to die. I'm
Yeah,
kind of interested to know who that one other person is.
yeah, and I wanted to say that for predictions.
Okay.
We should throw out our 2 cents on that. Let's
It's
see
Diggle.
here. There's one more person. He's the most important person in your family.
Hey, he actually got stuff to do. He was
Yeah,
fun with Thea, and he got more scenes with Felicity where they're apparently going out to eat together. I think this is
yeah.
starting to happen.
Yeah, could we please just have Felicity say, "Okay, clearly I have no future with Barry," and then
Or
start
Oliver.
because I still really want to see Diggle and Felicity get
I
together.
know.
And besides, it needs to happen because it would give Diggle something more to do.
Yeah. Although I
Um,
am worried because Sarah said, you need somebody better than me. I was like, oh, I don't want it to be Felicity because Felicity belongs with Diggle.
Speaking of Thea, I just want to tack this on real quick. This doesn't have anything to do with this episode in particular, but I've been, as I said last time, I've been going back and rewatching season 1 with my wife, and I watched the one with the Royal Flush Gang.
Is it
And
better?
in, the Royal Flush Gang stuff actually I didn't think was all that much better, but still the writing is better than I thought it was. But anyway, they have a bunch of stuff in that episode with Thea and Tommy, and there's a line where where she's drunk, she's been drinking too much, and she's coming on to him, and Tommy says, "You're like my little sister,"
But
and
she is his little sister.
they set all that up that early,
Do you think
and
that's a real setup?
yes, because yeah, if you watch it, it's pretty blatant. There are some music cues in that episode because they have a lot of screen time together, and there are a couple music cues that sound like we're setting up some potential drama stuff for later. I don't know. It's this kind of thing that says there is something going on with these two people that they don't know about yet.
Interesting.
I was impressed. I couldn't believe it.
I'm wondering if you're maybe reading into it. I kind of want to go back to that episode.
I would be so surprised if they didn't know that from the very very beginning after I saw that episode. Anyway, let me ask you this. Do you think, and I don't know if I'm right about this, and actually the more I read over this note, I really don't know if I'm right about it, but I wrote this note. Is it odd that Thea could get over her mother helping to destroy the Glades, but not her failure to tell her about Malcolm?
No, because that's a much more personal thing.
Okay.
And it's a lifelong um, lie.
And also, it turns out that she had her with the guy that she helped to destroy the Glades with in the first place.
Yeah. Well, and um,
Okay.
there's a really fun back and forth, like really well scripted back and forth between Thea and Oliver that I thought really kind of got into Thea's head a little bit, where she says something about like, oh well, you think keeping the truth from me is a good thing, but it's not. And he's like, well, it is if I'm going to lose you. And then she says, it's not the truth that made you lose me, it's your lies. And I really like that little back and forth.
Yeah, me too. Okay, let's go ahead and go on to best moment, worst moment. So is it just kind of a foregone conclusion that our both of our best moments is the Moira death?
I just had that whole scene.
Yeah, me too.
I don't actually have a worst moment.
Mine was Sarah leaving.
Yeah, you know what? In retrospect, that's probably mine too because I didn't like her whole reasoning for it. Yeah, I guess that would be my worst moment too.
It just felt a little forced. That's all. That's really the only thing I have to complain about.
Yeah, yeah. With this episode, that's really well that and Slade has a delivery of chews that's really silly both times I watched it.
Wait, what? A delivery of what?
Where he says, there's a point where he goes, choose!
Well, it's funnier when you do it.
No, it's really funny when he does it.
It's like this isn't Mortal Kombat. All right, let's go on to what's the big idea. Obviously, the big one is the sacrifices we make for our children. I thought it was really interesting that Oliver convinces her to put aside her big sacrifice that she wants to make for Thea in quitting the race for the sake of the city, and then ultimately she has to make the big sacrifice at the end. I can't believe I didn't call that.
Yeah.
What other big ideas did you write down?
I had kind of the same as what we've had. Um, Let me see here. I had one because the thing is, I feel like it's almost like two episodes. Like the last 5 minutes is its own episode
Yeah.
because the rest of this episode, there's all this stuff with Moira and Thea that's kind of setting up that ending, but the whole thing with Roy, um, is much more just about like the consequences of the actions that Oliver has had in trusting people and not trusting people. Which, by the way, I should note, I loved that nothing got through to him. There was not like that moment of like, oh well, you're a person I know, so that completely negates the science of what's going on right now. And Betty. Um,
Yeah, I almost could have done even without his kill me, kill me.
Yeah. But yeah, I thought there was some really interesting stuff going on with him and everybody around him, even up until the end with Sarah. Everybody has really their own ideas on what
Take
to
on.
do with it. Yeah.
I agree with you. Well, and yeah, I mean, there's a little bit of an identity thing there. The big question of are some people too far gone to be saved? Is he still himself? Is he a person? Does he have a soul? I really like all that.
Oh, and we
It
didn't
would.
mention it. I love where Sin sits in all of this, in all the different relationships.
I've never been the biggest fan of hers. I thought she was fabulous this
Yeah, I
episode.
thought she was really good, but I really like that she's kind of caught in the middle of all this and doesn't fully know everything that's going on. Like she says, like I didn't tell your brother. I don't know how he would know about this.
Yeah,
Um,
and that's a thing, isn't it? Kind of awkward in kind of a neat way. The people who know one of the vigilantes but not the other one.
yeah.
Like she knows about
Although
Sarah.
I thought she did because she knew about Sarah and she knows they're together. I kind of assumed that she knew, but I guess not.
I guess not. Yeah. Well, there's never been that formal moment or anything.
But I thought she was really good this episode.
Oh
And,
yeah.
and I liked that her whole motivation was just like Roy needs help. Like I don't know what's wrong with him, but he needs help.
Yeah, it was really simple, but it needed to be. I mean that's her friend. She's got this very street level way of doing things. She's just got this kind of code that she sticks by, and I imagine that's a lot of why Sarah liked her and kept teaming up with her because she had that moral center that she had kind of lost. Okay, did you have a favorite line?
I have a favorite line and a worst line.
Ooh, a worst line. I love it when you have a worst line.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
All right. So my favorite line is I really laughed when, well, I didn't literally laugh. But I thought it was funny when Oliver was laying on Laurel and he was all bummed out and he was just in that bummed voice just I do have smoldering charm. I thought that was funny.
Yeah, I guess I completely missed that line.
Oh, well, because she says you're mopey. He goes, I'm not mopey. And she goes, you're always mopey. It's part of your
Oh,
smoldering
that's
charm. And
right.
he says,
That's
I
right.
do have smoldering charm.
Yeah, yeah.
That's
That
like
was.
my worst
What was your
line.
worst line?
Okay, after he gets off the phone with the girl who lost their kid, he
Uh huh.
says, she had a miscarriage. She said she was sad.
Oh, I liked that.
Really? I thought that was such an awkward line. Was she said she was sad?
but he didn't deliver it the way you're delivering it.
Well, I'm not an actor.
No, I know, but I'm just saying that like the way he's what he said was she says she's sad about it, implying that she didn't want that to happen, and that makes it worse.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. I took it as like, well, no, duh. Like whether you want
And
that kid or not, you would be sad.
but it tells us something. It tells us that she was very convincing because she's lying.
Yeah, I guess. Okay, yeah. I thought that line was weird and awkward, and I didn't like it.
Well, I disagree with you. I like that line.
Well, you're wrong.
I liked it when you're wrong. I liked it when Diggle told Felicity that nothing could make her a bad person.
I like that line too.
Partly
Which
just because
made
I
me really worried where I was like, oh no, are we gonna break her?
no,
Is that where we're going?
no, I don't think they're going there. But yeah, when she says, "Does that make me a bad person?" She's just so innocent all the time, and I really like that. I think a lot of the optimism in the show comes from her. But also, you got some fun naivety and stuff. I wonder if I see now. You got me thinking. Ooh, is she gonna be the Wesley Wyndham Price of this show? That sounds scary. Okay, so I usually do a little bit of research. I just realized I didn't do this. I usually do some research and write down any comic book references I missed. I didn't notice anything this episode, and I didn't do any research. Did you catch anything?
No, I didn't catch anything.
I didn't catch anything at all. Okay, let's talk about predictions. I'm gonna look up the list I usually look at for stuff that I missed, just in case there's anything. What predictions do you have, Eric?
Um, well, we kind of talked about this before. I have this feeling that at the end of this, we're going to find out that Slade has no intention of killing Oliver. I think the plan is to take everything from Oliver, break him as a person, and then leave him to deal with it. And I think, what do we have, 2 episodes left? This is going to start next episode. I wouldn't be surprised if we start seeing Oliver lose stuff and fast. Maybe not people, but um, I'm pretty sure that the Arrow Cave is going to get blown up. Um, I don't know. I mean, I guess it's obvious because it's the season finale, but I think we're going to lose a lot of stuff. I think Slade's going to get rid of everything, or at least try to.
Yeah, I agree with you. I don't know that his end game is to actually kill Oliver. Um, I'm looking at references, and there's really not much. The article I'm looking at from comicbook.com is bringing up that Oliver was a lot of the time an orphan in the comics, and so now they've got us to that status quo. And also made the same point you did about that probably being Connor.
Oh, okay. I
So
mean, that's
cool.
kind of an obvious go-to if you know the character.
Yeah, because that was his illegitimate son. I don't know the character well enough to have remembered that, so I'm glad you brought it up. Let's see. Okay, so I've as often I do. I've got that wasn't a sentence. As I often do, I have more questions than I do predictions. I guess we kind of touched on this earlier, but okay, so now that Moira is out of the picture entirely, what is this show gonna do with Malcolm?
I don't know. I was interested to know what this show's going to do with Thea.
That's the big one. The prediction I wrote down is that she has to immediately know about Arrow after this, right?
He's got to, if she doesn't know, he needs to tell her.
I don't see how they keep that a secret from her past next episode. I just don't see it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like scene 1 of next episode should be Thea being like, why is he trying to kill you? What happened on the island?
I also had a little bit of a tough time buying that Moira knowing all this time since the undertaking that Thea hadn't figured it out yet.
Yeah, I felt like
I sort of wondered about it. We really did see, and that's why we should have called her Death, because that was the big thing that kind
Yep,
of
that's
stuck out.
exactly what I was gonna say. I felt like she knew because she was gonna die, and they weren't gonna have to deal with that.
I'm just not sure what about the undertaking made her think that. I need to go back and watch that episode again, and see if there was anything in that would have even remotely tipped her off. And then there are a lot of other characters that if she, I mean, yes, she's his mother, but she has spent a lot less time around the Arrow than a lot of people that haven't figured it out yet.
But
And
I think maybe if we go back and watch this season, I don't think she's actually pushed him that much about where he's been.
she hasn't at all, and so they're consistent with that. So that's cool. But I'm just saying that it makes me wonder why other people Quentin is okay because he doesn't want to know, so I can live with that. That's all right. But like Laurel, she just ought to know already.
Well,
I mean,
Laurel does
she
know.
knows. She knows now, but I'm just saying that she should have figured it out already.
Well, it's that superhero slippery slope.
Yeah, I know, but then it's hard to have your cake and eat it too when you're like, well, my mom knows. She figured it out just because
Superman's
she's.
been doing this for 70 years with a
Yeah,
pair of
but
glasses.
Yeah, but not like this, where they're like, some people get to figure it out by using their brains and deductive reasoning, and other people don't. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, I guess you're right.
It is really not a big deal at all. It's just I forgot to bring it up earlier. Okay, so we talked about this a minute ago, a little bit. What old friend is Sarah going to see? You think it's League of Assassins? I think it's somebody
I
else.
assumed it was League of Assassins. It could be Clock King for all I know.
Yes, I'm sure that's it. It's the Clock King. I think here's my wild prediction. I think it's a major, um, or not major, but I think it's a comic book character that we've not seen yet that would somehow have something to do with her past. That's what I think. This is the way they're going to introduce somebody important.
Nightwing.
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure that's it. And then obviously the big elephant in the room. What other person is it that has to die? I think it's. I mean, according to Slade, I think it's got to be Sarah.
See, I think that's the obvious. I think it's Felicity.
That doesn't make any sense in my brain, Eric.
I know, but I'm telling you, everything the Arrow is 100% less efficient without her. And I think even if she's not the one, I would go after her. If
Well,
before I make my big final move, I think they're gonna blow up the Arrow Cave and she's gonna be in it.
that's very possible, but that can't be who he's referring to.
I'm not sure. Also, actually, I have a question prediction.
Yes.
Do you think Slade makes it through this season, or do you think he's dead at the end of this?
See, I've really been on the fence about that. I sure don't want him to be dead.
I don't think he's gonna die.
I have such a hard
I
time,
feel like they don't want to box themselves in a corner that every season we're going to build up this big bad guy and then they're going to die.
especially because he's a really mainstream DC villain at this point. One of the reasons I think it's likely they don't kill him is just because of how popular that character is getting. But also, I'm thinking, and this would actually be somewhat sophisticated of them if they did it. I'm thinking it would be very strange if they killed him off, but then we've got all this island stuff where he's still got to be around. Because I don't know how long it's going to take before Oliver, shoots him in the eye. But if that happens on Island, and I kind of think it will, if that happens on Island this season, then they could kill him. If they kill him in both places,
Yeah, I don't want
that could
him.
happen.
I assume on the island he'll die by the end of this, which means that arrow with the mask or that mask with the arrow through it survives all of that weather for 4 years and
Yes.
looks perfectly fine.
I also wouldn't rule out a resurrection.
I don't want them getting the habit of that. We already have Malcolm back.
Well, no, yeah, but that wasn't an actual resurrection. He didn't die, and I looked at that scene wrong last year. Everybody in the comments was like, "No, he's not dead." But I mean, like, so that doesn't count. I just mean, you got this whole Mirakuru thing. There's a little bit of supernatural science going, or not supernatural, but, pseudoscience, heightened science. This would be the easiest place in the world for resurrection.
I know, but I don't want them to get in the habit of that. I like a show where dead means
I'm
dead.
just saying, I'm just saying, don't rule it out. If they kill him, don't rule out
Dude,
him
I
just
got my protractor and I'm ruling it out.
your mic's sticking out. I'm sorry. What is it?
I said I've got my protractor and I'm rulering it out.
Okay. Let's go ahead and go on to trivia now. And what was your trivia question from last week, Eric?
My trivia question from last week was everybody knows Roy Harper was a drug addict, but what was the drug he's actually doing? And it's crack.
Oh, it is crack. Okay.
Yeah, he's shooting up crack.
My question from last time was an easy one. It was, what color is Mirakuru? And it's green, which I felt the need to ask because it looks very kryptonite.
Yeah. It's what you think Monster looks like until you pour it out and realize it's yellow. By the way, Monster is yellow.
I didn't realize that. Eric, what is your question for this week, sir?
My question for this week is, I had a hard time coming up with one for this episode, so it's a really easy one.
He's like, so it's terrible.
Yeah, it's not a good one. Deathstroke appeared on how many previous live action DC shows?
Oh, that's good. Okay, well, mine, as always, from the episode is, what city did the girl that Oliver impregnated go to school in? That's the question. Well, everybody, thanks always for listening. I can't believe we got another hour podcast out of this one, Eric. We thought this was going to be a shorter one.
Yeah.
But we sure appreciate you listening, and we will be back with you again next week for the episode that you will probably watch this evening. Anyway, thanks for listening. I'm Captain Logan.
And I'm Eric.